I am supposed to know what this Comic-Con is. I really don't, but I will after this show. I don't know what a cosplayer is. I don't know what all the excitement is at the Rhode Island Convention Center this weekend, but I know that I'm supposed I'm supposed to know. So I'm looking forward to having one of the organizers and staffers at the Rhode Island Comic-Con here, along with a pretty famous cosplayer, costume player. Most of you know what this is, I'm told. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. A little lighter moment, if we could possibly have it, here on Dan York State of Mind. Good evening, and it's nice to have you with us, and I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. Now, on Thursdays, you're catching the show at 11:30 on MyRI TV and midnight on Fox Providence due to preemptions from football, which moved Jeopardy over to MyRI TV. If you all followed that, there'll be a test. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Back to 3 shows tomorrow night. And by the way, I'll tell you about a big guest that we have for tomorrow night as well, so don't go anywhere. Let's check the rundown and see what we're talking about. Yeah, so now, you know, ISIS says it was us, and now the Prime Minister says, most likely. Here's the headline. Yep. For some reason, we've got, you know, the Prime Minister explaining to us what happened to Russians. Here's CBS.
As Russian search teams haul away more evidence to determine what caused the jetliner to crash in the Egyptian desert, British officials already have a theory.
We cannot be certain that the Russian airliner was brought down by a terrorist bomb, but it looks increasingly likely that that was the case.
As a safety precaution, British Prime Minister David Cameron grounded all UK flights to and from Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh airport. The doomed plane took off from the resort town last Saturday before it broke apart 23 minutes into the flight, killing all 224 people on board. Egypt's president, who is on a pre-planned trip to London, told the Prime Minister airport security in his country is tight and there is no evidence of terrorism. New video reportedly taken shortly after the crash shows smoke rising from the wreckage and Egyptian ambulance workers on the scene. Aviation experts say if there was a bomb, wreckage and bodies will provide the evidence. U.S. intelligence officials say it's too soon to speculate if a bomb or a mechanical malfunction brought the plane down.
So David Cameron spills the beans because he's got the intel, and maybe America's got the intel already, but Putin's not saying much about it because he's going to have to react aggressively to it, so perhaps he would like to hide the fact that he was actually hit by ISIS. Egypt, can you trust them to actually be open about the whole process? Thankfully, there'll be international investigators in there to try to figure out what the legitimacy is of this ISIS claim. But when the Prime Minister says it most likely is, it puts Putin in a position where he's probably got to admit that he was hit. Then what does he do? Because it might just screw up what he says he's trying to do with the Assad regime and his flights into Syria, and it's very complicated. Let's remember that there are 200 plus people that lost their lives, and they deserve our prayers primarily. Let's go back home. The politics in Rhode Island are always curious, aren't they? So State Representative Doreen Costa gets this headline. She sent out a press release and gets this big fat headline. The rest of the Republicans send out 20 press releases, and they try to, and they get something in the Comic-Con section or the comic section. Anyway, if I understand, and I don't, but State Representative Doreen Costa, a Republican, veers off from the bulk of the Republicans who have been doing a pretty good job of arguing for pay-as-you-go for bridge repair in this state, arguing against Governor Raimondo's confounded plan to put tolls up in this state, suggests that the people may want to vote on this. She was on Matt Allen's show on WPRO last night.
So because it's such an astronomical number and there's still a lot of things that we don't know, let the voters have a say in it. They're the taxpayers, and I think that's the best way to go. I don't support the tolls, in any way, shape, or form, period. So, but I don't know what the voters want either. So because it's such a large amount of money, the voters should be, have a say in it.
It's really important for state representatives to know what they're talking about. The governor checkmates this idea for a referendum, an election, because she's using revenue bonds as her proposal, which is something that's outside the general fund budget. If it was general obligation bonds that we as the taxpayers pay for in the general fund budget, then there'd have to be a vote. But she's trying to outsmart the whole thing by making this a toll thing, which is a separate authority, which then puts the tolls up, which then tolls the truckers and us when the truckers don't pay enough. But that's been my argument the entire time. The point is that we don't need a referendum. We need opposition by people who are elected to argue that we don't need the tolls. So either Ms. Costa doesn't understand the difference between revenue bonds and general obligation bonds and elections or not, or she's just pandering to her constituents to say, hey, I'm doing something. For some reason, she doesn't want to hook up with her fellow Republicans who have the right idea. So methinks she might be a double agent. So she's invited here to tell me that she's no double agent. I look forward to her acceptance of my invitation. Smoking mediocrity. Yeah. An op-ed piece in the Providence Journal. Joe Piolino, former mayor, is still going at it with this suggestion that we got to make downtown smoke-free. Now, look, I don't smoke. I've never had a cigarette in my life. A couple of cigars every once in a while on the golf course, but never had one of those. Don't really think I want one either. I find it gross. I find it disgusting. I find you people who throw your butts all over the place to be piggies, and I find that to be disgusting. At the same time, Joe doesn't seem to understand that this move to make down city Providence smoke-free is perceived, rightly by some, as a move against the homeless. And he denies that, but he has no argument or evidence to support his denial of that. Let's start with smokers being a little cleaner, okay? And let's have an honest conversation about what kind of people we do or we don't want to have in down city Providence. That's the intellectually honest conversation, no, isn't it? Hey, the Rhode Island Mall is going through a whole big to-do here, it seems. The headline here kind of grabbed me. Nice to see any kind of revival of anything that's got the name Rhode Island on it. This mall has been sucking a little wind for quite some time, it seems. And so the new out-of-town developers who kind of do this for a living, I guess, are going to demall the mall. You know, I don't shop enough to really understand what demalling is, other than the girls in my family are constantly up there at Rentham. And there's no mall. There's just a lot of walking around the stores. So I think that's what demalling the mall is. What's that going to do to the mall rats? Hey, when I grew up at DePaul High School in Wayne, New Jersey, the kids over at the mall were the mall rats. Where'd all the mall rats go if you demall the malls? Starbucks is, you don't call them mall rats? Starbucks is doing something really cool. And I don't know if they're marketing this on their own, but this video, I'm told by my outstanding producer, Lexi, is going viral. Check this out. This is...
Hi, welcome to Starbucks. What can we get started for you today?
Listen, this is a lady who's deaf, who's ordering. Watch.
Hi.
There you go. So she sent her own video of this, and there's like 6 million hits or views or whatever you call it in the social media world. She's celebrating the video, the chain, and she well should. Pretty good, cheap advertising, but a pretty good idea. Don't you think? All right, good. All right, your state of mind is important to us, to me. Just call me, email, Facebook post, tweet. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of reaction to those from the Comic-Con who will be up next. Stay with us. All right, well, everybody on both the radio and television side in my buildings are talking about this Comic-Con thing going on, and so I got to figure out what the heck it is. Here's a little publicity that they're getting. Comic-Con is back, bigger, better crowds, better plan to handle the crowds. I guess when you have to have a better plan to handle the crowds, that means a lot of people show up to this thing, right?
Most definitely.
How are you, Megan?
I'm fantastic.
Where's your cosplayer?
She is saving other people, you know.
Saving?
Well, that's what you have to do when you're cosplaying. You portray the person that you're dressed up as. You get to interact.
Like a superhero or something like that, or what?
Oh, definitely. You have all sorts of different superheroes. You can be Wonder Woman, Batman. You've got kids, comic book
I know
characters.
this is a welcome relief from a week of politics and all sorts of serious conversations. So let me start. What the heck is this thing? This thing called the Comic-Con thing. What is it?
Well, it is a group of people coming together to celebrate all sorts of different genres, such as comic books, movies, artists, cartoons, you name it, it's at comic book conventions.
How long has it been going on?
Rhode Island Comic Con, this is our 4th year. We started in 2012, and this is our first time where we have the chance to have 3 days. We've expanded from previous years. We've only been 2 days, and we've also extended to 2 buildings. So not only are we at the convention center, we're also at the Dunkin' Donuts Center as well. So in addition to that, you have
Different kinds of displays, or
exactly. You have over 100 different artists, vendors, celebrities, anywhere from Star Trek to SpongeBob SquarePants to Transformers.
I'm kind of a big fan of SpongeBob, to be honest with you.
You can't go wrong.
Does that make me a Comic-Con customer, interested person if I
feel
SpongeBob SquarePants was one of my only tolerable shows when my daughter was in that watching TV mode that I could deal with. So I am a fan of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah,
and
so we have the
Squidward
voice
and the whole
of
group.
SpongeBob and Patrick.
You do?
And we also have the voice of Optimus Prime and Megatron. So Frank Welker and Peter Cullen, one of the original voices of those characters, are going to be there.
Really?
Yeah, so you definitely have a base for everybody. You have people who are in their 70s to 3-year-olds who have the opportunity to meet someone that inspired them in some way, shape, or form. Whether it got them through their day at school, or their afternoon after school, or the opportunity to be someone who they're not and get to play and be someone else through these characters that they've grown up with or just got introduced, like Game of Thrones or Sons of Anarchy. You know, you have all those opportunities to meet those people that you've connected with.
You have like panel conversations too, right?
Yep, we have Q&As for a bunch of different celebrities where you have the opportunity to ask that question. You know, what was it like to film such and such episode? What was it like to portray that character that meant so much to me growing up, such as, you know, Boba Fett or Darth Vader? What was it like to be the body of Darth Vader and what that is to society now? You know, it's going back to the original Star Wars to the brand new one that's coming out. It really touches every generation.
How'd you get involved in this? Are you local?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
I live in Warwick.
What do you do?
I used to work at Build-A-Bear, and now I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Build-A-Bear? That's my daughter's favorite store of all
Which
time.
again, it goes to show you where comic books touch everybody. They have Star Wars bears. They have superhero bears. They have My Little Pony. You know, all of these things that connect into the comic book world. It's not just about the paper comic books anymore. It's not that stigma of I'm going into a comic book store to buy my comic books. It truly has ventured into every aspect of society.
So have we moved from? Did this come from the Trekkie type convention type of thing? Weren't they kind of the first to
I believe so,
do
yeah.
this kind of thing?
It even goes as far back as those Dungeons and Dragons games in the basement.
Yeah.
and then it moves to
Another game I never played.
a bunch of people coming together, liking something that connects you, no matter if you're a millionaire or, you know, have 4 jobs. You guys have something to talk about. It connects everyone. That's what it's about. It's about a community and an opportunity to fit in, no matter who you are or where you come from.
So you're telling me this has a deeper social value than just
definitely
goofy
believe so.
entertainment?
Most definitely. It is not just about the comic books or what you can buy or who you can meet. It truly touches every single person in a different way. Yeah, you might be going to get that one signature from, you know, the guy from Sons of Anarchy, but I could bump into you in line waiting and we have an instant connection because we have a love for something that we might not have had before. You know, we might have nothing to talk about, but now I can talk to you about SpongeBob because we have that connection. It's that underlining feeling of fitting in, no matter who you are.
I had no idea how deep this was.
Right?
I guess so. We shall continue. Stay with us. Megan Breto is here from the staff of Rhode Island Comic Con, which is happening Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right, at the Convention Center?
Correct, and the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
And the Dunkin' Donuts Center, so that would be tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. I had no idea that this thing was
So big?
Well, you know, I certainly have heard and seen the growth of it, but you're very passionate about it.
I believe that it's more than what most people think about when they think comic book conventions. You know, I think it definitely has a much bigger connection to society than a lot of people realize.
Meaning?
Again, it goes to the fact of, all right, so we have a whole bunch of Power Rangers coming. Power Rangers have been on for 10 years, 15 years, and it touches everybody. We have Henry Winkler, the Fonz,
right?
where again,
you got the Incredible Hulk coming too, right?
Lou Ferrigno is going to be here, and he again has multi-connections to different generations. You know, somewhere where a dad can come in and say, this is who I grew up with being the Hulk. And now his child has someone, you know, in the recent Avengers movie being the Hulk. And now they have something that they connect with.
We were going to be visited by, is cosplayer the term?
Cosplayer,
Costume
correct.
player, cosplayer.
Mm-hmm.
This Anna Maya, I guess she's got nearly 1 million likes on her Facebook page. And this is the same person. 1, 2, I feel like I'm at Waterfire, you know, with some of the costuming that goes on there. That's the same person, correct?
Correct.
And so she does what? She takes on these identities and does what?
It's her.
She has a following. Why?
Because of the passion behind her cosplaying. You know, those costumes are something she's labored over for hours, making sure that it's perfect for that character. It's that
What
opportunity.
What does the character do? How does it manifest itself? Is it something you see in movies and books or magazines, or is it just something? I don't get it. It's art.
It's all of the above. It's your opportunity to become that person, to be that someone different, someone you respect and admire. And
Do you admire her because of what she's doing?
both. It's her passion that she put behind getting all those costume pieces together. It's her passion of making sure that every aspect of her costume is perfect to who she's playing, and her willingness to be put out in front of guests and making their day. They might not have the opportunity to meet them.
She'll be at the event.
Correct.
And she'll be what, just in costume, walking around, hanging around?
Yep. You have the opportunity to talk to her about costuming,
About
or
what she's trying
taking
to
her
present,
pictures.
what her point of view is.
Exactly.
That whole thing.
Again, it's
So it's a normal thing to walk up to her and others and just kind of go, "What up with this? What is this supposed to mean?"
Well,
or
it's
do you
more
know?
of a, you know.
Well,
And
what's
you
the
get the
okay? So for
opportunity
people who are
to
going to
take their
go,
picture.
people who are going to go, what don't you do at Comic-Con? I mean, what is there an etiquette
It's a respect.
for the arts?
Exactly. So, it's I love your costume. May I take a picture with you?
Gotcha.
Because you'd take a picture of a football player if you were with them.
That's true.
You would take a picture
I
with
would.
a baseball player.
Do sports fans and Comic-Con fans, are they one and the same? Or
I think they're derived from the same cloth. They're just a little different. It's the same passion behind it with a different level of
not the
respect.
same. It's not the same market.
No,
No, very different market.
but with the same passion behind it. Those people who go out and sit out in a lawn chair waiting for their team to come on, wearing those crazy colors painted,
Right.
who no shirts in the freezing cold weather painted
Right.
with their team colors, is the same passion that someone like our cosplayers have, putting together their costumes and representing their quote unquote team.
Well, what would the team be?
Whatever they're dressed as.
Gotcha.
It's their way of a different way of expressing themselves.
All right. Fascinating. we have the information up. I'm sure you've been putting it up, Steve, the dates or the whatever, or just some of the website. There it is, RI Comic Con. Is that spelled correctly? I hope it is.
Yes.
Yep, comiccon.com. You can go to that website and get tickets. Pretty cheap day out, isn't it? It's not that expensive.
No, and I mean, you have tons of other things too. Like we have Kids Con, where we have an opportunity for kids to have a fun time. We have the zoo coming. They get to be a part of it in their own little way. So you can even get your vows renewed or get married.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Legally?
Legally.
Well, this is quite the event you've got coming, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Next time, bring a cosplayer, but you did really well explaining it. Good luck with it this weekend.
We're going to have a fantastic time.
I bet you will. A lot of passion. Final word. I'll tell you about a big guest coming up tomorrow night. Stay with us. It makes sense. So many people laughing at this Comic-Con thing, but you'll go to Gillette and wear your Brady shirts before you get cocky about Comic-Con. Maybe you should be thinking about that. She makes a heck of a point. Hey, you know who's going to be here tomorrow night? The former Cranston mayor and Senate candidate Steve Laffey is back in town visiting, and I'm going to take the entire half hour with Steve because, well, if you know Steve, you know I need it. We'll see you tomorrow night and on the radio at noon on WPRO. Good night.